You a reason to come. The world's greatest radio.
We give you a reason to stay.
Radio, the way it should be heard.
You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guest and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
This is the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go on the world's greatest radio. You are now in touch with the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and this is Radio the Way It Should Be Heard. Now, we just opened the phone line, so if you would like to get in contact with the show, here are the ways that you can do it. You can call 1-877-932-9766. Or you can Gmail me at the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, at gmail.com. You can also do this. If you want to watch the live broadcast of the compensatory concept, go to YouTube and type in the word Talktainment. Hit the space bar and type in the word radio. Scroll down to Talktainment number 2, live on YouTube, and watch the live broadcast of YouTube. And while you are there, hit the subscribe button and the like button. And finally, you can do this. You can hear a replay of the show by going to facebook.com/Talktainment, and you can hear the entire broadcast. So those are the ways to do that. Live on the phone from Washington, D.C. is Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Mr. Fuller, as you know, is the author of the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept. And around about the 45-minute mark of this hour, we will have him expound on that book so you'll know all the details, how you can order the book and how you can get the book. Okay, let's see. And this right here. Today's program is part 1 of 2 parts. It's going to deal with the prison system, and we're going to have Mr. Fuller address that. We had meetings this week and last week, and there seems to be some confusion about why Mr. Fuller states that we are in a prison or to think like that. So we're going to do that. You can also go off topic today and discuss anything that you'd want to discuss. Mr. Fuller will address those issues as best as he can via suggestions. Okay, let's see. I think that's all out of the way. So let's do this. Mr. Fuller, good morning. And how are you this morning? Mr. Fuller?
Good morning. I'm still learning. Do you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now. Okay. All righty. Let me start off with this. This is from John, and he says this. This is to inform you that the Canadian book order is back and efficient. My 6 books order from April the 12th of this year have arrived on the 20th of April and in excellent condition. Mr. Fuller, I want to thank you. The war is never going to be over until we win. This comes from John Okello in Canada. So even though we talk about the book at the beginning, or rather at the 45-minute mark, he wanted you to know and the rest of the world that listens to the program that the book is, you can get the book now in Canada, no problem. And evidently he must get it at a swift time because he got them on and he ordered 6. So good for you, John. Your comment on that, Mr. Fuller?
Well, I thank him for ordering the books, and I hope that they have some type of constructive effect. And I'm glad that he was able to get them. I'm pleased because there were some problems, I had been told, with the Canadian shipments and also with the shipments to England. But now that's been resolved as far as I know.
Yes, and we're very happy that he has received his books. Okay, now, talking about the prison system, in fact, I have an email from, or Gmail from a brother in, he calls it so-called French Guiana, speaking about the prison system, Brother Murto. And he wanted you to define with precision for him and for the listeners, what is a prison and what is being in the prison system of the system of white supremacy globally and in all 9 areas of people activity.
Well, if I understand the question, the white supremacists have looked at the 9 areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war, and made an assessment about these are the things that people are engaged in from one minute to the next, or all of these areas, I mean all of the time throughout the entire planet that we call Earth. I mean, they're engaged in some type of economic system, which is the use of time and energy, educational system, people are learning all the time, and then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, people are doing some type of work that comes under labor, and people are engaged in sexual activity all over the world, somewhere, every minute of the day. And you can pick any area of activity, all of the areas of activity, and these are what you call the 9 areas of people activity. And you have people who are classified as white and people who are classified as non-white. And all of the people are engaged in these areas of activity, white and non-white, simultaneously, all over the planet. All right? Somebody's engaged in one or more of these activities. And in an aggregate way, they're engaged in all of these activities. If you just look at the entire planet, minute by minute, second by second, millions and millions and millions of people, all of the people, you have to be engaged in some activity if you exist. So these are just labels for those activities. Now, what the people who believe in mistreating people based on color have done, they have consolidated all of these areas of activity as far as what the people that they call non-white, the people that they have classified as non-white, they have consolidated all of these non-white people's areas of activity under their power. The white supremacists, that's what that word supreme means. Let's take over all of these non-white people, the people that we say are non-white. We'll classify ourselves as white. We'll classify them, those people, those other people who are not white, as non-white. And we will orchestrate systems in all of these areas of activity that will dominate whatever it is that they are doing already in these areas of activity. And we will dominate them whether they are pleased with that domination or not. And we will call this the system of white supremacy. Maybe not to their face every day and all like that, but that will be the government of the entire world. We'll make it that. And they have succeeded in doing that. When it happened, I don't know. It happened long before I came here, and I haven't there's a lot of controversy about how long this system has been in place. Some people say 400 years. Some people say 600 years. Some people say as far back as 2,000 years, when somebody got that idea and started putting that idea into implementation. Well, by any measure, it's a long time. And they have succeeded in doing it. It's the most successful political and religious enterprise ever attempted. The most successful by all of the evidence. Now, I think if people check into it and look at all, compare that with every type of governmental white supremacy has been supreme over all of these attempts, over any religion. There are a lot of religions, tribal religions. There are some major religions, Christianity, Judaism, Confucianism, Islam, Hinduism. And they call those major religions, all right? And there are others sometimes classified as major religions. But there's no religion more efficient and more powerful and more practiced and more recognized and more, awe-inspiring than that religion and that political system called the system of white supremacy. And it is a prison system because it has imprisoned all of the people, directly and indirectly, who are classified as non-white. And they have to go by the prison rules. There's nobody classified as non-white anywhere on the planet Earth, if I'm telling the truth, who is not in the prison system of white supremacy. A prison system is a system where people punish you for a crime.
Yes.
That's what a prison is. And what is the crime of the non-white people? Being non-white. According to whom? According to those people who are classified as white. Not all white people, but those people who classify themselves as white and who believe in and who practice the system of white supremacy.
Okay.
I hope that answers initially the question.
Well, he's the brother in French Guiana. He writes me quite often, and he will be very pleased to hear that answer that you addressed his question and those that he has to follow the compensatory rules. So that's good. The phone lines are open, 1-877-932-9766. You can Gmail me if you'd like, 7Mr. Bobby, Bobby @gmail.com. And yes, Root Dog, you are correct in your assessment. And you can also do this. This is very important. You can watch the program. You can watch the compensatory concept by going to the YouTube channel, type in the word Talktainment. Hit the space bar, type in the word radio, scroll down to Talktainment #2 live on YouTube, where you can watch the live broadcast right now. You can do that. And while you are there, hit the subscribe button and also the like button. Okay, let's see here. This comes from Victor. He says this, Mr. Fuller, why do non-white people want to be strong black males and strong black females in a system that harms them every day?
Well, the black people who say that they want to be strong, everybody wants to be strong. Birds, ants, caterpillars, every creature wants to have strength. Babies want to have strength. They want to get out of that crib. They want to walk around. They cry because they're helpless. So everything that breathes wants to gain in strength. People who are in hospitals want to get their strength back. That's why they're in hospitals. They're hoping that they can find a cure for whatever ails them so that they can get back, as they say, on their feet and be strong and healthy like they were before they came to the hospital. So that's a natural thing. All creatures want to have. They're not trying to get weaker. They're trying to get stronger. So black people are no exception. Now, they put the black in front of it because many black people realize that they're under the system of white supremacy. So they can best answer the question of, now, when you get strong, what do you want to do with your strength? So presumably, since they put that black in front of it, they want to get out from under the system of racism and have a better system, which is not only natural, but it is the thing to do if that's why they are being imprisoned or being mistreated or being given a lack of strength, being going from strong to weak based on being black. And according to white supremacists, they say, hey, we want all of our subjects, all of our prisoners of war, to be weaker than us. We don't want them to be as strong as us, because if they're as strong as we are, then they will be equal to us. And then how can we call ourselves white supremacists, and we have made all these non-white people equal to us in power and equal to us in doing things and getting things done? We don't believe in equality. We believe in non-equality. That's why we believe in supremacy. And we believe in not only dominating the people who are non-white, we believe in mistreating them. Now, why do we believe in this? Because it's fun. We get fun out of it. We get glory. And we get material comfort. And all creatures want fun, they want glory, and they want material comfort. But we have chosen this system to get our fun, our glory, and our material comfort because we found out how easy it was. You know, most of the non-white people, like a lot of the white people on the planet, have spent a lot of their time when they had conflict just having conflict among themselves about this, that, and the other.
Mm-hmm.
And so we came up with a formula for a government that nobody had thought of, and that's doing all of the world's business on the basis of what color you are.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody thought of that before some white person thought of it, presumably. All right? Nobody thought of, you know, they could have come up with a system of government based on the size of the foot or the shape of the ears or how tall someone was. I mean, the short people against the tall people, all right, like some tribes have done down through the ages and whatnot, and still do, all right? They'll say, we're the tallest tribe, so therefore we should be recognized as being superior to those little short people over there on the other side of the hill. So let's go and conquer them and shove them around, all right? And that has been done. But the white supremacists put everything on the basis of color. Somebody stumbled upon that and said, why not do all of the world's business on the basis of what color somebody is? And the people who are classified as white will be the supreme people. Whatever they do will be okay. Wrong or right, doesn't make any difference. They're always right even when they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
How about putting that into implementation? And the first few people who tried it found out that, hey, this is working. I mean, all of the evidence shows it. And people don't even know what we're doing, which is even better. We can pull it off, you know, before they finally wake up to what's happening, and it might be too late. Do you think we can pull it off? And it had to happen that way because it took over the whole world in such a short period of time. And the people who call themselves tribes and all like that, they say, well, you know, what's this color thing? We don't understand that. Well, you know, where'd that come from? And by the time they woke up, it was too late. And all the evidence shows this. And that's why we have this thing called white supremacy and racism, which is the same thing.
Okay. For all of my listeners, let me say this. Pardon me, Mr. Fuller. We had a storm here last night, and it did interfere with some of the equipment, but I understand as of right now we are up and running on radio, so now you can hear the program. Okay, you can hear the program, so that's going to be really good. But also, you can also go to YouTube and follow the instructions there. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller line number 1, you are on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Bobby and Mr. Fuller.
Good morning, sir.
I have 2 questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yes, sir. Okay, Mr. Fuller. So you say white supremacy is racism, and racism is white supremacy, but to an extent that a white supremacist is doing something, say like a person who practices white supremacy, I don't know, they going to the moon and finding some type of rock. That action itself is not mistreating people based on color.
Now, if I understand the question, you say going to the moon is not mistreating people based on color?
Yes, sir. I mean, if a white supremacist is doing it, you get what I'm saying? If that's their action, if that's the action that they're doing, going to the, I'm just throwing out an action. They could be doing anything else, but they're not mistreating people based on color. And doing that,
everything that a white supremacist does is based on mistreating people based on color. That's why that's their whole philosophy. They don't have a concept outside of that. They don't have a religion outside of that, even though they will call themselves by different names, different religions, because the white supremacists will say anything. That's a part of their power. They'll say anything that will add to their power. They don't care what they say. They'll make any kind of promise or what. They don't care. That when it comes to the use of words, they'll say anything. And they'll do anything as long as it adds to their power. They don't care what it is, all right? If it's going to subtract from their power, they will pretend, because that's part of it, deception. They will pretend that it's not adding to their power. They'll pretend that that's just an activity. But if a white supremacist goes to the moon, and there's some indications that they have shown that they're trying to add to their power over whom? Over the non-white people. Okay, you say, well, there are no non-white people on the moon. Yes, but even as a little person, a little prisoner of war, I used to go to the movies back in the 1930s and early 40s, and I saw pictures, moving pictures, picture shows, motion pictures, where people were depicted as going to the moon. But I also noticed something. They were looking not just for another place to go, presumably that these people, some of them, at least, maybe not all, maybe not most, but some of them believed in white supremacy, and they were depicted in a fictional movie about going to other planets, leaving the planet Earth and going to other planets. And in one episode, in several episodes, they said, we are looking for people. You know?
Okay.
I mean, we go to the moon, we go to Mars, we go to Venus, we go to Jupiter, and it's a lot of things here, all kind of minerals, all types of things we find up under the planet, or inside of the planet, rather. But we are basically looking for people. Now, what people are we looking for? Well, just whatever people might be here, and so that's what they depicted, even in fiction. And so in one episode, they say, we're looking for the clay people. And they say, okay.
Yeah, Mr. Fuller, I don't want to cut you off. I don't want to cut you off, but what I'm getting at is, okay, say like a white person who's a scientist, and that, I don't know, they come up with a new invention to do something or going to the moon or something. I feel like I think that it's not, they're not mistreating people. I definitely agree that racism exists 24/7, 365. But I'm saying, as black people, we need to look at a more objective truth and say that our existence is not needed in order for the planet Earth to go on. And I think that's the way we should look at it. And like you say, become problem solvers. But I'm saying white supremacists, I don't think they're all day in an office saying, okay, well, how are we going to just dominate black people? I think that they're just a byproduct of their scientific discovery and just moving forward and trying to gain more knowledge about the universe. That's going to be a byproduct. It's inherent that we're going to be dominated by people who trying to dominate the universe and gain as much knowledge as they need.
Well, that comes under VGQ. You have that opinion that the white supremacists are looking for a way to go out of business as white supremacists. If I understand that's what you're saying, well,
no, sir.
Be it.
They're not. I'm saying white supremacists, I don't think that they're objective anymore. Maybe at the onset, maybe 500 years ago was, okay, well, we have these black people right here, let's put them in chains. Now, or what you might say at the end of the so-called Civil War, it wasn't, I mean, you had white people arguing, well, let's keep black people in chains. Well, no, let them be so-called free, but really they're not going to be free. Anywhere they go on the planet, they're going to be under our domination, like you say all the time. But to me, you can't, a white supremacist would try to dominate the world. I need to know everything about the world before, I just try to totally dominate these people. I don't want to just round them all up and put them in chains and just have them chains. I want to go out and dominate the world, so wherever they go, they'll be under me.
Okay. Mr. Fuller, you want to respond before we have to go to break?
Well, I just gave my view that a white supremacist has one concept of everything, and that's white supremacy. That's all they think about. They don't think about nothing else, regardless of what they do, what they have for breakfast, and where they go and what mountain they climb. They're just thinking about, now, how does this connect me with continuing the system of white supremacy? Because if it doesn't give them strength or it doesn't give them more incentive.
Hello? Well, there go the usual suspects again. Wow. All righty, let's do this here. We are going to go to a break right now. TalkTimeRadio.com, radio the way it should be heard. We will see you on the other side of this break.
For the best home fragrance and beauty products, shop Ash Kickin' online.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Made with 100% natural quality ingredients and handcrafted with your family in mind, Ash Kickin' products are better than those other guys. Ash Kickin' candles, incense, body butter, face moisturizer, and hair moisturizer are priced just right, and you can get yours at 10% off with coupon code TALK17. Support this 100% black-owned business and get your home and body smelling and feeling all right.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Shop Ash Kickin' online at www.ashkickin.com.
Are you ready for a high school that allows you to work at a place that is right for you? Are you ready to earn a certification in healthcare, business, or manufacturing while achieving your high school diploma? Then you are ready for Life Skills High School, a free public school option for high school students 16 to 21 years old. Learn more about your free high school educational options at lifeskillshs.org or call them at 1-800-888-7992. Life Skills High School, education that fits your life.
Robe is an intriguing, riveting, mysterious novel written on forgiveness by Renee Smith. Order your copy today at Barnes & Noble and Amazon.com. That's The Robe by Renee Smith.
Every year, June marks the beginning of two busy seasons, summer and wedding season. If you are legally changing your name, you need to apply for a replacement Social Security card reflecting your new name. This is easier to fix now when you first change your name than years from now when you retire. So go to our website at www.socialsecurity.gov/SS number or call us at 1-800-772-1213, TTY 1-800-325-0778 to find out what specific documents you need to change your name and apply for a replacement card.
If you or someone you know is abusing drugs and or alcohol and want to stop the abuse, contact APDS at 1409 East Livingston Avenue. Office hours are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily and 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday. APDS is certified by the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services and primarily funded through the Adam H. Board. Fees are based on your income and Medicaid is always accepted. For more information, call 614-253-4448.
This is Al Edmondson, owner of a Cut Above the Rest barbershop. I'm calling on all barbers and beauticians. It's time for us to unite as one. We can serve our communities better together. Join the Ohio Black Barber Beauty Network. For more information, visit www.obbn.org or call 614-427-3226 to get more information. Be the change that you want to see in your community. Join our network.
I've got the water, energy bars, and camera. I think we're set for the hike.
Almost. We need to protect our skin. Don't forget your wide-brimmed hat and sunscreen.
All right. I've got the hat. I've got SPF 30. Will that work?
Yeah, anything 15 or higher is good. Just make sure it says broad spectrum.
Great. Got it. I am not getting burned again. Let's go.
Learn more at cdc.gov/cancer.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTameRadio.com.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Go ahead. Make my day.
You got the power.
TalkTameRadio.com. We go where you go. Download the TalkTameRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. I am Mr. Bobby, the co-host on the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. And I want to say right now that we had a storm that came through about 4 o'clock in the morning, and it just completely filed up the system. And it takes the system a while to reboot. And so if you could not hear us or got an error message, that is what it was. But I understand that we are back up now as the system has rebooted. So hopefully we will not have any more of those particular problems. Let me say this because I didn't get a chance to do it in the first hour. Two things. Number one, when you call in, please have one question so that Mr. Fuller can answer your question, because there are many that have other questions, and I know it's important, and it's important to him also that he answers your questions without being confused or the introduction of confusion. So I'm going to ask that you limit your questions to one question, please. Okay, now, this coming Tuesday on the program Talking Sports with Mr. Bobby, yours truly, we will have Greg Bell, the former Buffalo Bill, former Oakland Raider. He will be our guest in the second hour, in the second segment, which we call Tell Me Something Good. And he's going to be talking about basically athletes, professional athletes, who go broke after 3 or 5 years. Why is this? He's going to address those particular issues, and it's really a sad story when you think about it, but he's going to explain the inner workings of how that works and then his foundation. Also, we're going to have in the next 2 weeks after that, we're going to have a line dancing guru, Trent Clark. And I did speak with him, and the things that he has to say, or the things that he has introduced to me about line dancing and stepping and so forth, are things I didn't even know about. So you want to give a listen to that. I think that's going to be May the 15th. And then May the 29th, we're going to have former Ohio State University quarterback number 7, Cornelius Flam Green, will be our guest. By the way, he's Trent Clark is Trent McMurray is his nephew, so that'll be good. Okay, that's some of the upcoming highlights of the show that we are going to have. Phone lines are now open. You can call 1-877-932-9766 to hear the show. You can also go to 7 Mr. Bobby, BOBBY at gmail.com. You can access the show that way. And this is another way that you can access the show. You can go to YouTube, type in the word Talktainment, hit the space bar, and type in the word radio. Scroll down to Talktainment number 2 live on YouTube, and you can watch the broadcast from there. And if you elect to go that way, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the like button, and we'll be very, very glad that you did. Okay, this is another Gmail. If I can get the here we go, up here, from Jane Lance, one of our loyal listeners. She says that it's synchronicity in the universe working in our favor. Let's see here. She says, Mr. Fuller, why do some white people change the way they speak to non-white people in professional settings? For example, why would a white coworker or supervisor start using slang terms, ebonics, when they speak to black employees?
I guess as a reaction or as a part of racism. I mean, there's no way to ignore racism, either directly or indirectly. So the white person probably thinks, I don't know, see, the person who's doing it, and this is a part of the code, whomever is doing whatever he or she is doing, whether the person is white or non-white, that's the person who should explain why they are doing what they are doing. The best person in the world to explain his or her actions is the person who is doing whatever is being done. See, in other words, I can give my opinion of what a person is doing and why they are doing it, but the best person to explain, in this case, a white woman who is using what you call ebonics, when she is talking to black people, you can just hold up your hand politely and ask the question, Madam, why are you speaking the way that you're speaking? And the person may say, I don't know what the person may say, but the person will give you an answer, the person who is doing it. The person may ask, what do you mean the way I'm speaking? I don't know what the person might say. And you don't know, or anybody doesn't know, until the person explains what they are doing and why they are doing it. I mean, and that's your best source.
Okay.
And this applies to everything. And I repeat something that I repeat on this program all the time. All problems, without exception, all problems are solved through the process of questions and answers. And if Neely Fuller is saying something, Neely Fuller is the person who should be asked. If there's any misunderstanding about what Neely Fuller is saying, Neely Fuller is the person who should explain what Neely Fuller said.
Okay.
See, in other words, the procedure should not be, it's okay to ask Neely Fuller about what that white person may mean, but the best answer will come from that person who is doing it. If I was in that type of setting and I noticed that, I may or may not, depending on how much I want, whether or not I would really want to know the answer to that question, I would ask the person who is doing it, why are you doing what you're doing? And don't help the person with the answer. Don't start, when the person starts trying to answer the question, don't jump in and start trying to tell the person what you think that they are doing it for.
Yes.
Always let the person give their full answer. He or she give the full answer to what he or she is doing.
Oh,
That's codified procedure.
Yes, sir. All right, let's go to the phone lines. Okay, caller, you are now on with Mr. Fuller. What is your one question, please?
Yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Awesome. Yes, good day to you, gentlemen. Good day, Mr. Fuller. My question is, currently, with the Starbucks situation and people dealing with, being forced out of these different stores and whatnot, what I've noticed is that within the media, they are using black people to say that black folks it's a problem that black folks are seeing themselves as victims. And I find that very interesting, being as though, the system that we're dealing with, we can see ourselves as subjects or victims of the system of racism and white supremacy. However, they are pushing this narrative that, hey, black people we aren't victims. So I just wanted to know what you thought about that narrative, about the fact that I see white supremacists using black voices to say, oh, we're not victims, that you're being seen as weak. And I noticed that from more conservative TV shows like Fox. Just for example, they had a brother who's supposed to be a comedian. He went into a Starbucks and he said, give me free Starbucks for reparations. But he was actually joking about it, even though people thought he was serious. And he goes on to Fox and he says, oh, we're not victims. And then there's another sister doing the same thing. We're not victims. So I wanted to see what your opinion was on that.
All right, thank you for your call. Mr. Fuller?
Well, you just look for the truth. 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 Everything in counter-racist science is, first of all, find out what the truth is. Don't make any move about anything. Don't start making statements about anything until you look around and find out, first of all, is something either true or false. Now, either white supremacy exists or it doesn't. And if white supremacy exists, if you go to the laws of logic, white supremacy, a system of white supremacy in any form, which means dominating and mistreating people based on color, it either exists or it doesn't. There's no in between. Either you have a system of white supremacy or you don't. Either people are mistreated on the basis of color or they are not. There's no in between here. So you just find out the truth. Is there such a thing as racism? Does it exist? It either exists or it doesn't. Now, if racism exists, what is racism designed to do? It's designed to do harm to people. It's designed to victimize people. That's what it's designed to do. So the first thing to find out is, does it exist? Because if it doesn't exist, something that doesn't exist can't harm anybody. All right? So you either have it or you don't. So in every situation, the first thing you want to know is, does racism exist? Then the next thing is it being practiced right now in this particular setting? And according to what I have written, it's practiced 24/7 everywhere, in every area of activity. Because a system of white supremacy is all-engrossing. It's being practiced every minute, every second, everywhere, all over the planet Earth, 24/7, without exception. It's not a minute where racism is not being practiced, not 1 second, because that's the essence of white supremacy. You either have it or you don't. So it's just a matter of making up your mind whether or not you recognize that it exists or not. And once you take that stand, you say it doesn't exist, well then, hey, you can't make any complaints about racism ever, because it doesn't exist. Or you say, well, it exists sometimes. No, it doesn't work that way. You either have the whole thing or nothing.
Yes. Okay. This is the point of the program in the 2 hours that we have. You know that we are on from 9 a.m. until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is the time that we have dedicated to have Mr. Fuller begin to speak about his book on radio the way it should be heard. Mr. Fuller, speak to your book.
You can get the book by going to producejustice.com. That's producejustice.com, because that should be what if you can perceive yourself as being a victim of racism, that's what you should be thinking about replacing it with. If you get rid of racism, you should be thinking about what are you going to replace it with. It's the biggest government on earth. I mean, the only government that's worthy of being called a government. There is no other that's worthy of that title when you compare it with the power of racism. So that should be, according to what I have written, the purpose for everybody who believes in justice and peace. Get rid of racism, and racism is in the form of a thing called a system of white supremacy. They're one and the same. There is no other form of racism. And so this book is about having the individual victim every day doing something in the interest of, every minute of every day, doing something in the interest of replacing the system of racism with the system of justice. And that should be our purpose, according to what I have written. When I say our, I mean every person that believes in justice. You can't have justice and racism in the same planet at the same time. That's impossible. You can't have racism and justice on the same planet at the same time. You're either going to have worldwide non-justice or you're going to have justice. And you can't have white supremacy and justice on the same planet at the same time. That's impossible, according to what I have written in this book. But you can get the book by going to producejustice.com, because that should be what you're trying to replace the system of racism with. And it's addressed to the individual person, what the individual person can do, who perceives him or herself as a victim of racism. Now, any black person, non-white person, black, brown, red, yellow, beige, tan, who perceives him or herself as not being a victim of racism, then the book is not for you. If you say you don't have a race problem where you are, that racism doesn't bother you, that that's an absurd idea, that it might be something that's going on out there called racism, but it doesn't interest you because it doesn't affect you, then it doesn't apply to you. And it's called the United Independent System. That's why if you perceive racism as being important to you, then the book applies to you. But if it doesn't, then the book doesn't apply to you.
Okay.
Go to producejustice.com.
Okay. Before we move on, could you explain, because this was also brought up in the discussion, the title of it, the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept. There was a little, I won't say confusion, but there was some talk about that. So could you briefly explain the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept?
Yes. I tried to shorten that title, that basic title, but there's no way I could do it and crowd everything into what I had to say into it, because I wanted it to be something that was complete and not leave people guessing. The united means, that first word after the next word is united, united. United in what? You're united in what your purpose should be. You should be. That's where the unity is. The unity. You don't unite with people. You unite with your purpose.
Yes.
See, that way you don't get involved in all this personality thing. Like black people particularly are very prone in to fight against racism, to say, well, I want you to unite with me. And if you don't unite with me, then we can't go forward and do anything. We can't do this. We can't do that.
Okay.
We got to get our people to unite with each other. And the compensatory concept under the system of white supremacy, you don't unite with people, because unite. What do you mean by unite? All right, you unite with the logic.
Logic, okay.
To get a word, to get a problem solved. See, there's a logic for getting a problem solved.
Yes, sir.
So you don't try to unite with a person, because what black people have been taught is unity, is high-fiving and hugging. They think it's a physical thing. They think that makes unity. A black person wandering around alone and say, well, I got to get some unity here with other black people, and then I can do something. I can do something about my problem. So, in other words, the person is saying, if I don't see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other black people, then it's no way that I can solve a problem. I can't do anything. I can't breathe. I can't do anything. I can't stand up. I can't walk. I can't see anything. I can't figure out anything. I have to go and hug another black person, literally. When I say hug, I mean actually just grab hold to them. Now I have unity. Now I can think. Now my mind begins to work. That's what black people have been taught by the white supremacists, is unity. And so we have that in our minds. That's a slave ship mentality. That if you're not all huddled together physically in the same place at the same time with millions of other black people, you don't have any power at all. But if you unite, now that's where the united independent, that's where that independent comes from, the united independent. You are an individual person. The word individual could be used in place of the word independent. You are an individual first. So you have total regard for that. As an individual, you can unite with the logic that is in the universe, not unite with a person.
Got it.
All right? Mm-hmm. Unite with the logic. Logic came with the universe. Logic came with you. When you were born, there was a logical process for putting you into the universe. That's why it's called the universe. You unite with the elements of the universe. And the elements of the universe will unite you with other people. That's the way that works.
Okay.
You don't go and grab hold, like you see some people do on television and whatnot, like I saw, a president doing with a person yesterday, I think, on television.
Yes, with France or something.
Yes, he was grabbing the person, and the other person was grabbing him, and they was shaking hands, and they say that the president of what we call the United States has this habit of when he shakes somebody's hands, they just shake hands and shake hands and shake hands and just keep shaking hands. And I guess that's supposed to be unity, all right? But you can have unity with a person that you never even see if you have the correct intentions of producing a product.
Okay.
Because if you're in the process of trying to produce that product called justice, all right, and thinking and speaking and acting with everybody that you encounter, then when another person 10,000 miles away is doing the same thing, you are on the same page.
All righty.
That's where you want to be.
Okay.
That's where your unity comes from.
Okay.
Same page.
Same page. All righty.
Okay.
Let's get to the phone lines. Line number 1. You're on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead, please.
Hello, can I be heard?
Go ahead, please.
Yes. Hi. How you guys doing? My question for Mr. Fuller, I would just like to ask him logically, why does he think the creator of the universe allowed white supremacists to think, speak, and act so wickedly without repercussions?
I don't know. That's the answer. And I'll tell you why I don't know. Because I don't know why the creator of the universe did anything. I have no idea. I can have some ideas, but I don't even bother with it. I just say that I'm here. I was created. I didn't make myself. I showed up here, found that I was here, and one of the first things people let me know is that I've been dumped off in a place where there are problems. So I came to the conclusion, it took me a little while to get there, that I'm here for the purpose of solving problems. Now, why would the Creator give me problems? I don't know. But I have problems. So I figure, since I'm here and I've been given tools like hands, fingers, fingers on a hand, I've been given feet, I've been given eyes and ears. I was given all this. This is some pretty first-class equipment, okay? A hand is, just look at your hand. That's some first-class equipment. I didn't make that hand. I don't know anything about even what's in that hand. I can command with a mind, I guess. Some people call it that. I've been told that I have a mind. So they say that your mind tells your hand what to do. And I know this is true. I pick up a telephone, and my mind tells me to get up out of this chair and walk over to another chair on the other side of the room. And my mind tells my legs to do that. And my legs respond. Now, I don't know why that is. I didn't have anything to do with producing any of that. And if I had something to do with it, I certainly don't remember it. So I couldn't be the originator of it, because if I was the originator of anything, I would remember it. I would remember when I made the first hand. And I would remember when I made the first leg and what I made it out of, and all of the elements that went into it. I don't remember any of that. And that indicates to me that there is something greater than me. There is something greater than me. I don't care what you call it, all right? But that something has put me in a situation where I'm given problems. I have problems. I don't know of any person that doesn't say that every now and then at least they have a serious problem, all right? But I see people walking around trying to solve problems all day, even if it's just trying to run to catch the bus. That's a problem. And they miss the bus, and they get angry and frustrated.
That's another problem.
All right, that's another problem. Okay? So, in answer to the question, I don't know why anything is here. Why there are planets. What are all those, things that the people that study the stars and all like that, they say there are millions of universes out there. Millions and trillions maybe. Quadrillions.
Looks like we're going to have to leave it right there.
Right.
Listen,
okay.
Thank you for the pleasure of your time. TalkTameItRadio.com, the world's greatest radio the way it should be heard. Stay tuned for the second hour of the compensatory concept.
Talktainment Radio, worldwide sound. Talktainmentradio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio.
We give you a reason to stay.
Radio, the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guest, and not necessarily those of TalkTameItRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTameItRadio.com.
This is the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTameItRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
Welcome again to the second hour of the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and you're listening to it on the world's greatest radio, which is talktainmentradio.com. And by the way, this is radio the way it should be heard. The second hour is sponsored by you, our listeners. I will call out just a few names in just a moment. But what this is when you donate to the compensatory concept for the second hour production, all that money goes to the production of the entire second hour. And that's why we say it that way. Now, all you have to do is go to the talktainmentradio.com homepage. And when you get on there, you'll see a little sign to the right that says Listen Live. Underneath there is also a phone number. And underneath the phone number is a yellow donate button. You can hit that button and donate whatever the amount that you want to donate. And we appreciate that for the second hour. Just a few names: B.W. Gifts, Terrence Morgan, Julius Myers, Anita Taylor, Jane Lance, Eric Williams, Brian McCarthy, Helen Nance, Anthony McKinn, who's from England, by the way, Robert Wade, Andrea Brown Pitts, Tanya Potts, J.K. Towles, Carolyn Jackson, and Hugh Haywood are just a few. And by the way, and Jane Lance are just a few of the reoccurring donators who donate to the compensatory concept. So if you listen to the program and if you think it is valuable to you, where you're able to ask Mr. Fuller your questions, if it really means that much to you and you are able to do that, then send in a donation to the concept, to the compensatory concept. And for those who do not like to use the donate button, you can do this. You can go through electronic check through your bank, K&E World Network LLC /DBA, Talktainment Radio, Ed Dozier, 625 at gmail.com, Post Office Box 6184, Columbus, Ohio, 43206. And by the way, if you do that, no personal checks, okay? No personal checks. All righty, so got that out the way. Let's see, yeah, got that out the way. Good. Okay, our topic is, we're talking about the prison system of white supremacy. And by the way, that brother that called in about Starbucks, there was also an incident the day before yesterday in a Cracker Barrel in West Virginia, where a black man was treated the same way that the black guys were treated in the Starbucks, I believe, in Philadelphia. Same thing. So there seems to be a problem going on all over the country, and not just in Philadelphia, but all over. And this black guy was the owner of a bus company and had the people who he was transporting on the bus with him. But he complied. He didn't fuss. He didn't fight. He didn't flee. He was in compensatory mode. And after he got time, he went on and addressed the problem. Anyway, we are speaking about the prison system of white supremacy, and we have a Gmail from Fred. He says this: Mr. Fuller, last week you talked about the thug culture that racism, white supremacy produces. I also had a girl say to me, "You're too moral." But isn't universal man and universal woman about being the nicest person in the room, like you say? Moreover, isn't this being constructive rather than destructive, as they say, by killing them with kindness? If this is the case, if I'm too moral, then so be it. If someone wants to be a party to the so-called thug culture of racism, white supremacy, that's on them. Like Elijah Muhammad said, you can take it or leave it. That's my logic. But what's your analysis, Mr. Fuller? Plus, this is why some guys do destructive things to have a female. but I'll be alone before I let females cause me to have such an effect as being a thug. For one thing, I don't see where it pays off, and I'm still improving and trying to be progressive. Could you address that, please, Mr. Fuller?
Seems like it's a long series of multiple questions within multiple questions, but I'll try to answer by simply saying everything is divided into two categories. There's nothing in between. It's just two. Just two. Constructive, non-constructive. That's every move that a person makes is going to have a constructive effect or a non-constructive effect. If you're sitting down eating a meal, the ingredients in that meal, what you're looking at on that plate, when it goes into your body, it's going to have a constructive effect or a non-constructive effect. There's no such thing as in between. It's going to have a constructive effect or a non-constructive effect. It's going to do something to help you, or it's going to do something to harm you. There's no such thing as in between. And when you look at the entire world like this, every minute of each day, every move that everybody makes, every move that a creature makes, any creature, a mosquito, a fly, an alligator, is going to have a constructive effect or a non-constructive effect. All right? And the only way you will know whether it's constructive or non-constructive is to look at the result. What happened as a result of whatever was done. But that's all you have to keep in mind. It's really very, very simple. Like racism is very simple. But the racists make everything complicated. And this is what compensatory codification is all about. Taking complicated things and make them kindergarten simple, first of all, because truth is simple, right to it. But the white supremacists have taken everything when it comes to non-white people and made everything so convoluted, so mixed up. I mean, so full of all kind of magical, deceptive tricks that, you know, black people have become confused about everything. And when you're confused and you're around people who are not confused, like the white supremacists are not confused about anything, because they are very scientific. So therefore, they dominate the people of color, because the people of color have what? More confusion than anybody.
Okay.
We are head scratchers. There are even cartoons that white people used to make, presumably white supremacists, of the black person with eyes bugged, walking around, scratching
their head.
His head.
Yeah.
Trying to get that brain to work. His muscles will work, his arms will work, his legs will work. We are motion people. But see, the white supremacists have always said, the one thing that black people cannot do, they can do a whole lot of things. They can lift weights and all like that. They're in the prisons lifting weights. Of course, the whole world is a prison, so whatever weight they lift, they're doing it in my prison.
Yeah.
But one thing a black person can't do, that a white supremacist can do and does do, we are thinkers. We think and then act. But that black person over there just runs around in a circle, bumping into things, falling over everything, cursing everybody out and whatnot, foaming at the mouth. But one thing he can't do, he can't think. That brain doesn't move at all.
Wow.
It's just a piece of rock.
Yes, sir.
Useless.
Okay. Brother Palmer wrote this, asked this question. Mr. Fuller, the compensatory code is a system of problem solving based on the logic of cause and effect. How does that work? As a prisoner of war, it requires work to be codified through my thoughts, speech, and actions every day, just like a soldier who has just parachuted into battle like a paratrooper on enemy territory. Is this true? Is this what it means to be a non-white person on this planet?
In my opinion, yes. We are born on a battlefield. And so you're on a battlefield, you don't have any choice except to be on that battlefield. You can't be where you're not. And there's a war going on, and you're born right in the middle of it, and right in the middle of a hot battlefield in a war. Now, you do get some rest periods and all like that. You know, as most soldiers know, you get breaks, you get a rest period, but you're still on the battlefield. And when you wake out of your slumber and all like that, you're still on the battlefield. And you'll be on the battlefield until the battlefield is no longer a battlefield, but a cornfield or a cotton field or a field of dreams or, a forest or something happening that may be constructive. But battlefields is all about destruction. Nothing constructive goes on a battlefield, except whatever you build up is for the sake of tearing down. That's what happens on a battlefield. You can inflate a tire on a truck on a battlefield, and that's being constructive as far as the tire is concerned. But you're inflating that tire on that truck so that you can load ammunition on the truck and continue the battle.
Okay.
All right? So that's what that's about.
Alrighty.
So all non-white people in the system of white supremacy are born on a battlefield. And so when you go, like people were talking about in the early part of the program, going in Starbucks, these are incidents on a battlefield. But the battlefield is going on all the time. It's not just in Starbucks. You just can't put that off on just one place. When you walk out of there, you're still on the battlefield. When you go anywhere on the planet, you are on the battlefield. Or if you're a person of color, or if you're a white person who doesn't even want to be a racist, but you are on a battlefield where racism is the biggest thing going on that battlefield, whether you're white or non-white.
Yes, sir.
So white people who don't want to participate in the battle have to participate. Why? Because that's the only show in town.
Got it.
There is no such thing as not being on this battlefield.
All righty. Let's go to the phone lines. Line number one. Okay, line number one, you're on. Go ahead, please.
Can I be heard?
When I come to you, you're on.
Yes, Mr. Fuller, I'm looking at a title of an article that states, "Use your white privilege to fight racism." Could you explain to the audience how the combination word white privilege is used? It's not really constructive.
Well, I use the term white supremacy. Now, a lot of people don't like that supremacy. They prefer the term white privilege. Okay? But white privilege, I don't care how you shake it up and pour it, it's still all about white supremacy. Where does a white person who is a white supremacist get the privilege of being a white supremacist from? Other than him or herself, the other believe in white supremacy. So regardless of how you try to dress it up in some clothes that look like they, are more pleasing to the eye, it's still the same thing. All right? So why not just call it, since counter-racist science is about truth, call it what it is. It's painful, but pain serves a purpose. That's one thing that black people have to learn. Pain lets you know that something is completely out of order. Now, nobody likes for anything to be out of order where they are concerned. That's just natural. But what you like and what is two different things. We don't get what we like, all right, in this system. You're not supposed to get what you like in this system because the system is rotten, all right? Now, this is painful. People say, well, I don't want to think about things like that. Sure, nobody likes to think about pain. Nobody wants pain. But if you got pain, and pain is being inflicted on you, you have to deal with it. And you're given equipment to deal with it. I hear some type of bleeping sound.
Okay, yeah, that's over with now. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
All right.
So I hope that answers the question. See, there's no such thing as escaping from racism. You have to eliminate racism. And that's what most people find painful. They say, well, I don't have time to think about that. I got to think about it. There's no other show in town. You have to think about the prison that you're in. If you're in a prison, you have to think about the prison.
Yes.
You can't think outside the prison. And if you think outside the prison like the prison doesn't exist, that is a form of what? Super insanity.
All righty. TalkTainmentRadio.com is a 24/7 no-charge worldwide broadcasting facility with hosts delivering on various topics such as news, lifestyle, sports, law, health, wellness, religion, and politics. Now here's my show, the Talking Sports with Mr. Bobby, and we will premiere this Tuesday, May the 1st, 2018, with a special guest who is a former NFL football player, Greg Bell, played for Buffalo and for the Los Angeles Raiders, I believe it was the time, now the Oakland Raiders, and now soon to be the Las Vegas Raiders. He will be our guest, and he will be talking about what happens when black athletes in particular, what happens when the show is over. He's going to talk about how they, their money, and how a lot of them are broke. I think it's 78% are broke. That's a high number. Anyway, he will address that. But TalkTainmentRadio.com has many shows on, and you can go to the TalkTainmentRadio.com homepage, and you can look at the shows. The bios are listed on each program and the program host, and you can check it out for yourself. By the way, Talking Sports with Mr. Bobby is on from 6 p.m. until 7 p.m. Eastern Time every other Tuesday, exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, radio the way it should be heard. We're speaking with Neely Fuller, and we're talking about the prison system of white supremacy. You can call in if you'd like, 1-877-932-9766. You can Gmail me at the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY @gmail.com. You can also watch the program live, and we have different graphics up on the YouTube channel that you can see. Anyway, go to the YouTube channel, type in the word Talktainment, hit the space bar, and type in the word radio. Scroll down to Talktainment 2, live on YouTube. Watch the live broadcast of the compensatory concept with Mr. Fuller and yours truly. And while you are there, hit the subscribe button and also hit the like button. And since this is the donate hour, please make sure that you donate to the second hour of the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller. Whatever the amount that you choose to donate, you can. If this program is valuable to you, make sure that you do that. All that from TalkTainmentRadio.com, radio the way it should be heard. Okay, Mr. Fuller, we're going to go to the Gmails here. A question is, Mr. Fuller, could you talk about the rock-solid code that you have talked about this year that, quote, anything that the white supremacists do, whether directly or indirectly, is to strengthen the system of white supremacy, no matter what it might look like on the surface, end of quote.
And they wanted an explanation for that?
Yes. This comes from Anthony from England.
What that means. A white supremacist, if they're having a cup of coffee, that coffee is supposed to help them to think about newer and better ways, or continue to think about just maintaining the system of white supremacy. That's what a white supremacist does, and that's why they are so efficient. They're the most efficient people on the planet. They're the most efficient people in recorded history at doing what it is that they want to do. which is dominate and mistreat people of color. They're the most efficient people that have ever existed in carrying out that mission. Nobody has been more efficient than those white people. Not talking about all white people. Those white people who have chosen to set up a system of domination, and mistreatment of people based on color. There's no government and no religion that has ever been in recorded history more powerful than that idea and of those people who carried out that idea. There's no philosophical concept, no religious concept, no political concept, so-called communism or socialism or any kind of ism more powerful than racism. None. Nothing comes anywhere close to that. I don't care what religion a person professes, how long they've been professing it. When the white supremacists say, hey, my religion is white supremacy, what's yours? And match your success with my success. No religion comes anywhere close. Any person that calls themselves a so-called socialist, communist, whatever that's supposed to mean, capitalist, the white supremacists say, you know what? I'm the greatest communist that ever existed. I'm the greatest capitalist that ever existed. I'm the greatest socialist that ever existed. And I'm a white supremacist. And I'm all of those things that you are trying to be, all the rest of you people, whether you're white or non-white, or what you say your ambitions are. Nobody has proven to be greater than a white person who believes in white supremacy, and the record shows it. Not in recorded history. Not up to this point.
Okay. A few moments ago, you were answering a call from one of the callers, and you said something to this effect: you can't be where you're not. I know you were speaking of warfare, but then you say that you are from everywhere you've ever been and everywhere you've never been. Now, that's a little confusing to me. Could you straighten that out, or did I get it wrong, or what?
No. You're not where you're not, but you are where you are. But you are what? From. See, here's the word from. You're from every place that you have ever been. And you're also from every place you have never been. And that is the truth. Now, it's an equation that might be difficult to understand, but it's the truth. It's just like, there's a lot of things in trigonometry that I don't understand. But trigonometry is still trigonometry. Trigonometry doesn't care whether I understand it or not. Algebra doesn't understand whether I understand algebra or not. Okay. Fire doesn't understand whether I understand fire or not. Because fire is going to do what fire is going to do.
You're correct. But you said you can't be where you're not.
You can't be where you're not. But you are where you are. That's the truth.
Okay.
But you can't be where you're not.
Okay. I'm not at home at this particular moment. I'm here.
Okay, now it comes down to definitions. What's home?
I see.
See what I mean? That's a word. What is home? There are all kind of songs that are written, all kind of poems that are written. Home, sweet home. There's no place like home, but where is that place? Now, everything that we do in counter-racist science is about racism, including what we're talking about now. So that's in the word guide, by the way, that you can get by going to producejustice.com. That word home. What is home? What exactly is home? There's some black people who've been saying, they come to the podium and say, my home is Africa. What is Africa? All right. See, let's get into that question thing. See, thousands of questions. You just don't ask one question. Once you ask the question, where's your home? And the person say, my home is Africa. Then you say, What is Africa? What makes Africa Africa? When is Africa Africa? When is Africa not Africa? Is there such a thing as Africa not being Africa? What is an African? What is an American? When is an American an American? What makes an American an American? Is it possible that an American may not be an American, but be something else for a few minutes?
Mm-hmm.
And what few minutes? When? Under what conditions? See what the words mean. Words mean whatever you want them to mean.
Okay.
But mathematics, all right, is absolute.
Absolute, yes.
Fire will burn. That's mathematical. Water is wet. Now, anybody who wants to play with that like it's something else can find out what fire will burn by testing fire to see if it will. Fire will burn what? It'll burn whatever it'll burn. All right? What about the things that fire won't burn? Well, the things that fire won't burn, fire won't burn.
Won't burn, yes.
See what I mean?
Yes, sir.
That's what I mean, tapping into the logic of the universe. And don't get dazzled by the words that people use, including Neely Fuller. Because that causes what? The
Confusion.
One thing you don't ever want.
Confusion. Yes, that word, by the way, home and homeland, is on page 156 of the Word Guide. I'm looking at that right now, 156 of the Word Guide. And on our graphics, it was put up the New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. Can we put that up again? I like that. One of the additional books that goes into explaining that. Maybe one day I can get her on the Mr. Bobby, Talking Sports with Mr. Bobby. Okay, let's see, Mr. Fuller. Here's a question from Mr. Jones. He says, "Good morning, Mr. Fuller. A non-white female is marrying a prince. Do you think white people will accept her as royalty, and are all non-white people in the known universe subject to the white royal family?"
Absolutely. According to what? According to compensatory counter-racist logic. If you're going to be a counter-racist, you have to take counter-racist logic. I mean, anything that works against racism. So you say that any non-white person cannot be royal in a system of white supremacy. I don't care what you call them. You know, there's a lot of black people that walk around and call themselves kings and emperors. You know, kings and queens. Lots of black people. I'm the king of the tribe, you know. In the system of white supremacy, you're nobody, all right? I don't care what you call yourself, but a prisoner of war, that's what you are. And you have already been conquered. You were conquered before you were born, because the people that came before you were conquered. Conquered by whom? The white supremacists. See, that's absolute. Now, like I said, people call themselves by all kinds of things. That's easy to do. But it's the white supremacists who decide what you can do, where you can go, whether or not you're going to breathe in their prison system. Why? Because they have made the entire planet a prison system for their victims, which is the black, brown, red, yellow, any beige, tan, anybody who has color in his or her skin.
Okay.
Comes under the system of white supremacy.
Alrighty.
So therefore, you're not royal.
Okay.
The white supremacists are the royalists.
Okay, got to leave that one there. TalkTainmentradio.com. We go where you go. Check us out on 94.1 WGRN. Podcasts are available. Download the TalkTainmentradio.com app to your cell. That's radio the way it should be heard. Stay right there. We have a couple of people on the line. Nice questions from Mr. Jones. All that and more coming up next on TalkTainmentradio.com.
For the best home fragrance and beauty products, shop Ash Kickin online.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Made with 100% natural quality ingredients and handcrafted with your family in mind, Ash Kickin products are better than those other guys. Ash-kicking candles, incense, body butter, face moisturizer, and hair moisturizer are priced just right, and you can get yours at 10% off with coupon code TALK17. Support this 100% black-owned business and get your home and body smelling and feeling all right.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Shop Ash Kicking online at www.ashkickin.com.
Are you ready for a high school that allows you to work at a place that is right for you? Are you ready to earn a certification in healthcare, business, or manufacturing while achieving your high school diploma? Then you are ready for Life Skills High School, a free public school option for high school students 16 to 21 years old. Learn more about your free high school educational options at lifeskillshs.org or call them at 1-800-888-7992. Life Skills High School, education that fits your life.
Robe is an intriguing, riveting, mysterious novel written on forgiveness by Renee Smith. Order your copy today at Barnes & Noble and Amazon.com. That's The Robe by Renee Smith.
Every year, June marks the beginning of two busy seasons, summer and wedding season. If you are legally changing your name, you need to apply for a replacement Social Security card reflecting your new name. This is easier to fix now when you first change your name than years from now when you retire. So go to our website at www.socialsecurity.gov/SS number or call us at 1-800-772-1213, TTY 1-800-325-0778 to find out what specific documents you need to change your name and apply for a replacement card.
If you or someone you know is abusing drugs and or alcohol and want to stop the abuse, contact APDS at 1409 East Livingston Avenue. Office hours are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily and 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday. APDS is certified by the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services and primarily funded through the Adam H. Board. Fees are based on your income and Medicaid is always accepted. For more information, call 614-253-4448.
This is Al Edmondson, owner of a Cut Above the Rest barbershop. I'm calling on all barbers and beauticians. It's time for us to unite as one. We can serve our communities better together. Join the Ohio Black Barber Beauty Network. For more information, visit www.obbn.org or call 614-427-3226 to get more information. Be the change that you want to see in your community. Join our network.
I've got the water, energy bars, and camera. I think we're set for the hike.
Almost. We need to protect our skin. Don't forget your wide-brimmed hat and sunscreen.
All right. I've got the hat. I've got SPF 30. Will that work?
Yeah, anything 15 or higher is good. Just make sure it says broad spectrum.
Great. Got it. I am not getting burned again. Let's go.
Learn more at cdc.gov/cancer.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTimidRadio.com.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Go ahead. Make my day.
You got the power.
Can't handle the truth. Wow, how about that? TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go. Download the TalkTainmentRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. I am Mr. Bobby, the co-host on the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. You can call in at 1-877-932-9766 is one of the ways, and right now we do have a caller. Go ahead, caller. You are on.
Hey, how are y'all doing today, Mr. Bobby and Mr. Fuller?
Yes, sir.
I have a question for Mr. Fuller. We live in I understand what you're saying. We live in a matrix, and everything you're pretty much saying in your book is logical. How do you think that, I guess, darker complexion people are able to use science to overcome the matrix that has been created within this normal, natural matrix?
How do you use science?
Yeah, because we're all born scientists, but it seems like, the only way we apply the logic that you speak about is like through science, pretty much. And I'm not talking about education from the white supremacist in particular, like degrees, goddamn. I'm just talking about, like, logic, like you saying.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The counter-racist code is supposed to be based on logic. Doing anything, if it's going to get done, is based on some type of logic. Logic just means getting things done, that's all. Just getting it done. Not talking about getting it done, getting it done.
Okay,
so
basically, are you discouraging going door to door?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Hello?
What's your question?
Are you discouraging going door to door, not with your book, but just with the format that we come off of our own logic, us just going door to door and, you know, trying to get to each other?
Going door to door doing what?
Okay, like you got Jehovah's Witnesses go door to door, knocking on doors. So I'm not preaching that stuff. I'm preaching, not preaching, but teaching, you know, what's going on. Because, I mean, a lot of times when I talk to our people out here, it's like, okay, I'm on an elevated level right here, and some of them are on this level. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody, just some, just like the majority of white people. So, I mean, you understand what I'm saying?
No, I don't. I'm trying to understand your question.
Okay,
in other words,
okay to go door to door
do
and
you
teach
get people
and not get shot or killed within the next 20 years?
Okay, so that the audience and I will understand your question. How do you do what?
Is it okay to go door to door, go to people's door, knock on their door, and speak to them just like an entrepreneur would speak to sell whatever he's selling, but you're not selling your teaching? Is it okay to do that?
Oh, if you think that'll work. I don't think it'll work.
Well, tell me why, please.
Because I don't think people want people knocking on their door and telling them that they're doing anything. I mean, you know, it may work in some places, but generally speaking, in this day and time, in most of the world, when people hear a knock on the door, just, you know, ask yourself, what do you think when you hear somebody knocking on your door? And then once the person knocks on your door and you open the door and you're going to ask the logical question, why are you knocking on my door? And then what do you say to the person?
Whatever pitch you have prepared.
Wait a minute. You say to the person what?
Whatever you have prepared to tell them. I mean, I know you're going to get rejection,
well, wait a
but
minute.
it's
Let's
numbers.
walk through it now. Let's walk through it. See, we're talking about science here. Science is exact.
I got you.
I have just knocked on a person's door.
Mm-hmm.
The person opened the door.
Yes.
And say, why are you knocking on my door? That's a question. What do I say?
Okay, I guess I'm going to present whatever material
I can't guess. I have to know what I'm going to say. Otherwise, I got no business knocking on that door.
Right, I'll present whatever material I have. I mean, I will have
okay, wait a minute. Let's slow down. Everything in science is slowing down first. Mm-hmm. Present whatever you have. What is it that you have that you are presenting?
Correct. I got you. Well,
I'm standing there. Let's for the sake of the audience. See, we need clarity. And these counter-race discussions are all about super pure clarity and focus. No guesswork. None. Zero.
Okay, I'm presenting that. Hey, look, do you need some? I see something going on with your house. Do you need some housework? Okay, and so forth. Or whatever I see in front of me. It is the art of convenience. So whatever I see in front of me and so forth that the black person needs help with, that I usually need help with, because
okay, wait a minute.
So I understand how it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm right there with it. So whatever in front of me, you know?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
You're asking a question, and I'm trying to get the question, and I'm trying to walk through it to see where we are going, because we're both now talking about doing something. Okay. And you're saying first step is to knock, as a suggestion, knock on a door. When you knock on a door, you expect somebody to answer. The person is going to answer, and the person most likely is going to ask a question. That question is, why are you knocking on my door?
I would offer my business. I'm a businessman. I would offer my business, and then I would talk about what I got to talk about. Well, it's easy for me to go into why we as black people have problems, just like, it is for most of us. So I can kill the barriers. I'm just asking a question about the opportunities and the ways to kill the barriers about it among us. That's all.
Okay. See, let's see, this is a part of the code, trying to get to where we need to go. It is all about questions and answers, because questions and answers will take us where we need to go. And I'm just trying to walk through it step by step to see if it gets us there. So we are at the door now, and I have knocked on the door, and the person has opened the door. Now, step by step, what do I say or do? Do I dance? Do I, tell a joke?
You asked a question.
Sir?
Do you need any help with anything? And the first thing they're going to say is, what are you talking about? I work in a hotel. I go ahead and set up my little hotel face. Do you need any help with anything? And then we go into it. I mean, that's the best way I can go at it, because we're going to have to open up here. Seeing all these races here. I seen a black man walk in the store, and me and this African brother is looking, and we African. I'm looking back and forth at him, and we like, that's a black man, and this is dark-skinned Indian guy. So we both said America got problems. That's agreeable. We could have carried on a conversation for that for a hot minute.
Okay, I'm gonna have to. We're up against a time here, but thank you for calling, my brother. Sorry about that, but thank you for calling. That was a little difficult, but like you said, Mr. Fuller, always ask questions because they can solve different problems. But we didn't have time.
No other way to get there.
Yeah, we didn't have time to do the complete dialogue on that. As a matter of fact, in your book, which, let's take this time to speak about your book, which does address situations like that. Tell us the latest information on your book and how we can get it and so forth.
Go to producejustice.com. That's all. Just go to producejustice.com, and what will come up on the screen is a description of the basic textbook and an addition to the basic textbook called the Word Guide. Basically, they're the same book. One is just an extension of the other. But most people get the basic book, which is what I recommend for sure, because the Word Guide is just an addition to the basic book. I couldn't get it all in one volume.
Yes.
So go to producejustice.com, and both of the volumes are there for you to order. And the method for ordering is described at that website, producejustice.com. And you get either one or both of the books.
Yes.
But the basic textbook, so that you don't get them mixed up, one is a word guide. That's not the basic textbook. That's the addition to the basic textbook. So most people get the basic textbook, and then some people get both books.
Yes. And when you get the books, people, please, it is imperative that you not just to get the book, but read the book. Please. Let's go to the phone lines. What line am I on? Line number 1? Okay. Line number 1, you're on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead, please.
Can I be heard clear? Good morning. Mr. Fuller, I have a question. You say that non-white women are on their own if they have babies because white supremacy racism makes it that way? That's the question.
That's the question.
Okay.
And the answer is, according to the code, yes. Now, what do I mean by on?
Okay, let me follow it up. Follow it up
sir.
now. Yes. So can you reveal why white supremacy racism doesn't allow help to non-white females who have offspring? And can you give examples? Because I would say, with an addendum to that, you have welfare, you have different programs that help women. So, again, I just want you to explain why white supremacy racism, or why you think white supremacy racism doesn't allow help to non-white females who have offspring, and why they're on their own.
Well, what I mean by on their own, that might not be even the best answer that I can give, because that's not very concise. It means that they are completely dependent on the white supremacists. That's what I mean by on their own. See what I mean? Just like all black people, period, are completely dependent on the white supremacists for everything. Why? Because we are in their prison. If I'm in a prison, I'm completely dependent on the people who what? Run it.
Run it. Mm-hmm.
That's all. When you look at the entire world like that, and you're a person of color, it's real simple. If you want something, you have to ask the prison masters for whatever it is you get. So non-white females are in that prison. They are non-white. We are in a prison called the system of white supremacy. That's the name of the prison. And if you have color in your skin, you're in that prison. Okay,
you don't have to say anymore. I got you. Because what I was confused with was when you said that they're on their own, but you was referencing that to black or non-white men to help non-white females, because white supremacy will help them regardless. But you were referencing that to men, black men per se.
Black males.
Am I correct on that? Black men. Gotcha.
Yes, black.
Say no more. Let somebody else call in. I don't want to be long and drawn out. Have a good one. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you, caller, for calling. Mr. Fuller, this is a question off of the Gmails from Mr. Jones. He says this, Mr. Fuller, when I talk to more confused victims of racism, they often tell me that I let racism, white supremacy consume me. They believe it is such a system, but a pattern I'm observing is victims will say, hey, I only got one life to live. The white supremacists even have a soap opera called One Life to Live. Mr. Fuller, is that phrase a white supremacist program? I'll just add the rapper Drake uses an acronym, YOLO. You only live once. Does this make victims think that they don't have time for white supremacy?
Does what?
Okay, let me ask his first question. Mr. Fuller, is that phrase a white supremacist program? One life to live.
Oh, it could be. I don't know. The people who see the code says whomever is doing whatever he or she is doing. I said that at the beginning of the program. That's the person that asks why they are doing what they are doing. Another person can't really answer truthfully why somebody else is doing what that person is doing. You can give your opinion, but counter-racist science is about doing the best possible thing. Now, if a person puts on a program called a TV program called One Life to Live, if Neely Fuller really wants to find out about what that means, I will try to do my best to get in contact with someone who, the actual person who came up with the idea of having a program called One Life to Live. And all my questions will be directed to that person or to a person who has been in contact with that person, and that person had it explained to them what that person meant.
Okay.
Always get to the origin.
Right.
Everything.
Okay. Well, what about this when he says the rapper Drake uses an acronym, You Only Live Once? Does this make victims think they don't have time for white supremacy?
Oh, well, now, it could. In answer to the question, victims of racism have all kinds of thoughts. But the question is, are you still a victim of racism? And if you are a victim of racism, do you have time to be a victim of racism when that's what you are? Now, that question has a yes or no answer, like all questions do ultimately. Do you have time for racism if you are a victim of racism? That's the question. do I have time to be drowning if I'm drowning? Do I have time to be dead if I'm dead? Do I have time to wash my hands if I'm washing my hands? That's the kind of question I'm listening to. All right? Do I have time to be a victim of racism if I'm a victim of racism? And that question has an answer.
Yes, sir.
Yes. The answer is yes. I must have time to be a victim of racism if I'm a victim of racism.
Okay. I've got two questions to get in here. Let's go to the phone lines. Go ahead. You're on with Mr. Fuller.
Hello, Mr. Fuller and Mr. Bobby. This is Larry down here in Dallas.
Hey, Larry. Go ahead, bro.
Okay. My question is, there's only two hemispheres, the Eastern Hemisphere and the Western Hemisphere.
Oh, I've been told that the Southern Hemisphere and the Northern Hemisphere, I've heard people ask that in the Northwestern Hemisphere, North by North.
Okay.
I don't have a direct answer to that question except I just say what the white supremacists have taught me.
Yes.
Hemisphere. I don't even know what that really means.
Okay.
Like I don't know what a whole lot of these terms mean, like Middle East, because it keeps changing. Changing according to whom? I say ultimately the white supremacists invented the idea, and so they change it around like they want to.
Mm-hmm.
They say there's such a thing called the Middle East, and then they'll switch right around and 5 minutes later, and they'll say, well, what about the Midwest? And they'll say the Midwest is in Chicago, or Chicago is in the Midwest. And so I say, well, and the Middle East is where? Well, that's somewhere around the Mediterranean Sea, somewhere around it, including what? Well, depends on, what time it is, what year it is, depending on who says this. Well, the white supremacists say when I say it, all right? Because if it's the person as a white supremacist, they say whatever I say, anything is.
Yes.
If I say that the Northern Hemisphere is no longer the Northern Hemisphere, it's the Southern Hemisphere, then that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to overrule me?
Yes. We had a group study that indicated that before 1948 or 47, there was no such thing as the Middle East. Let's go to the phone lines. Line number 1, you're on with Mr. Fuller. Quickly, please.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Bobby, Mr. Fuller. I have a question. I'm sure y'all, I don't know if y'all are familiar with what happened in Antioch, Tennessee. A white supremacist, or suspected white supremacist, got out of his truck and walked into a Waffle House and killed 4 non-white people.
Butt naked.
He had on a trench coat, butt naked. The question I have for Mr. Fuller is, in the system of white supremacy, I've read in the textbook said for us to stay try to stay in the counter-war area or the counter-war zone. How do we as victims, victims of white supremacy, stay in the counter-war zone when we don't know when any suspected white supremacist is going to just get out of their truck or car and try to take our lives? In other words, how do we stay in the counter-war zone?
Okay.
Anti-war.
All right, Mr. Fuller.
Oh, you're a prisoner of war, so you're always trying to figure out a way to survive as best you can, because you're already a prisoner. You're a prisoner of war, so you just survive like a prisoner of war does and try to figure out how to get rid of that prison. There's no such thing as breaking out of the prison. So that takes a lot of figuring. That takes a lot of thought. You're in the prison. There's no way to escape the prison. You have to actually eliminate the prison and make the prison, you might say, a Garden of Eden. Like it should have been in the first place.
Yeah.
All right? That's the ultimate goal. Now, you might say, oh, that is so overwhelming. That's a big job. You better believe it is. But it's the only job that you should have in mind.
Okay.
And you spend all your time trying to think about how you can do that and get it done as an individual person and try to influence as many other people that that's what they should be doing, whether they want to or not.
Okay.
Well, that's your job.
That's your job. Okay, I have a last question here from, I'm not going to use his first name, but his last name is Harper. He said, Mr. Fuller, this is Mr. H. I wanted to know your view on the following. I was recently verbally demeaned and humiliated by a teacher after being asked a series of trick questions. It was done in such a manner that was not explicitly against my college's policy. That teacher's boss is another teacher of mine, but I'm afraid to complain due to fears of retaliation. How should I proceed?
Proceed by answering the questions. All problems are solved through the process of questions and answers. And even if you say, I don't know, or I don't know how to answer that question, or that question is frustrating to me, you can give any kind of answer you want to a question.
He says he was demeaned and humiliated by the teacher after being asked a series of trick questions.
Well, see, you don't put questions in the category of being trick questions. They're just questions. Every question has an answer. And the answer to millions of questions is, I don't know.
Okay, but he said he was demeaned and humiliated by that. Let's take
see,
out the word trick.
I don't know what that means, because I've already been demeaned by being a prisoner of war and made a prisoner of war based on my color. I was considered a criminal when I was born, before I was born, when my mother carried me in her womb. I was considered a prisoner by the people who run the planet. So therefore, when I was born, I mean, if you're going to use the term humiliated, I mean, it doesn't get more humiliated than that, whatever you mean by humiliating. I mean, you have been declared a convict, a prisoner, a criminal, a despicable creature before you were born. This is the system of white supremacy. So, you know, you can't humiliate me after I'm humiliated like that. I'm declared a criminal before I was born. The crime of being born with color in my skin. That's a major crime in the system of white supremacy. It doesn't get more criminal than that. You can't be more of a criminal than to be born with color in your skin in the system of white supremacy. You're already a convict, and you're born in the prison of white supremacy. So how can anybody say something to me that's humiliating? That's impossible. I've already been hit as hard as I can get hit by being declared a prisoner and a criminal and a worthless person before I was born, before I ever said a word or did anything, because you are a criminal by color. That makes you a criminal.
Criminal by color.
That's it.
Wow.
I mean, hey, you're a convict. You're supposed to be a convict. You are nothing. You are supposed to be something that's despised by anything that has any kind of self-respect.
Okay.
Simply because you are what? The wrong color.
All right, we got to leave it there. Thank you for the pleasure of your time, everybody. Mr. Fuller and all, talk to him at radio.com, radio the way it should be heard. We'll see you next week. And again, thank you for the pleasure of your time.
Thank you.